A millionaire trades places with her modest twin sister to see if her fiancé truly loves her or just her affluent life. The evening air in Beverly Hillston shimmered with opulence. Cassandra Whitmore, 30 years old, with sharp green eyes, golden hair tied back in a flawless chignon, and dressed in a silk white evening gown, adjusted her diamond earrings before stepping onto the red carpet. Cameras flashed. She was the glamorous CEO of WitTech, a luxury AI firm, and every breath she took turned heads. But behind her success, Cassandra carried a gnawing doubt. Did her fiancé, Lucas Alcott, love her for who she was, or for the wealth that draped her life like designer silk? Hundreds of miles away, in a sleepy Oregon town, her identical twin sister Caroline Brewster, also 30, same emerald eyes and fair complexion but in a loose denim jacket and faded jeans, was tutoring kids at the community center. She lived simply, surrounded by books and students, her heart full but wallet empty. Though the two spoke often, their lives hadn't intersected since college. Until now, Cassandra had a wild idea, a test of love and loyalty that only a twin could pull off. One phone call later, Caroline was on her way to Beverly Hillston. Lucas Alcott, 33, with hazel eyes, jet black slicked hair and a tailored navy blue suit, dropped to one knee in front of Cassandra on the rooftop of the Sky Lantern Hotel. Candlelight flickered. The view of Hillston glittered behind him. "Cass, will you marry me?" Cassandra's smile was practiced, not genuine. She glanced at the stunning platinum ring, a 6-carat declaration of wealth. "Yes," she said, but her heart thudded with uncertainty. That night, alone in her walk-in closet, Cassandra called Caroline. "I need to know if he loves me, not just this life," she said. Caroline hesitated. "You want me to pretend to be you, move into your mansion, go on dates with your fiancé?" Cassandra's voice softened. "Just for 2 weeks, enough to see how he treats you, when I'm not all glammed up and talking business." Caroline sighed. "You're insane, but okay, let's do it." And so the twin test began. The morning of the switch was like a spy operation. Cassandra's personal stylist, baffled but well-paid, transformed Caroline into her twin, hair curled, designer dress fitted, makeup applied to perfection. Caroline, 30, green-eyed and now wearing Cassandra's signature gold heels and silk scarf, looked into the mirror and barely recognized herself. "God, how do you even walk in these?" she muttered. Cassandra, dressed in Caroline's comfy jeans and hoodie, smirked. "You'll manage. Just smile and say vague things when asked about tech." That afternoon, Lucas picked up Cassandra for brunch. He didn't notice the change. "You look fresh today," he said, kissing her cheek. "Fresh?" Caroline almost burst out laughing. Meanwhile, Cassandra left for Oregon under the name Caroline Brewster. She stepped into the community center and was immediately overwhelmed by the scent of crayons, laughter, and something unfamiliar. Authentic warmth. 2 lives had officially been swapped, and the games had begun. Caroline found the world of luxury exhausting. The constant small talk, the endless spa appointments, the shallow brunches. Lucas was charming but always focused on appearances. He seemed more interested in how she looked in public than how she felt in private. One evening, as they sat by the fire pit sipping champagne, Lucas scrolled through his phone. "Babe, if we announce the engagement at the WitTech Gala, the stock might surge. Your dad would love that." Caroline blinked. "You want to use our engagement for publicity?" He grinned. "It's good business." She forced a smile, but her stomach twisted. Lucas never asked about her hobbies, her dreams, or what made her laugh. Meanwhile, Cassandra was struggling too, teaching math to fidgety 5th graders and living without a personal chef or a heated toilet seat. But she was learning something vital, how peaceful real life could feel when no one wanted anything from you except your time. Lucas took Cassandra, really Caroline, to a charity gala one night. She dreaded it but went along. As he networked, Caroline snuck outside for air. That's when she met Nolan, Lucas's old college friend, a rugged photographer with sandy brown hair, stubble, and a relaxed linen blazer. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," Nolan said, offering her a soda instead of champagne. Caroline laughed genuinely. "You have no idea." They talked about books, travel, and photography. For the first time, she felt seen. Back in Oregon, Cassandra, as Caroline, was asked to join a community cleanup day. She expected boredom, but ended up painting murals, eating homemade chili, and laughing until her cheeks hurt. That night she journaled, "People here like me for me. I forgot how that felt." Both twins were falling into unfamiliar lives and unexpected emotions. Lucas had always considered himself a master of perception, but even he began noticing subtle differences. Cassandra seemed less interested in business mergers, more tuned into people's feelings. She didn't snap at waiters anymore. She paused to listen, even offered compliments to the cleaning staff at the club. It was charming and unsettling. One evening over dinner, he tilted his head. "You've really changed lately. In a good way, I think, Caroline deflected with a soft smile. Maybe I'm just seeing things clearer now, Lucas chuckled, but a trace of doubt lingered behind his eyes. Meanwhile, Cassandra in Oregon was facing the opposite problem. A fellow teacher, Brian, had been asking her out repeatedly. Caroline, you've changed too. There's something more refined about you. She tried to dodge the advances, but her careful balancing act was getting harder. How long could they both keep this up? On a perfect Sunday afternoon, Lucas rented out a small art gallery, Cassandra's supposed favorite, and surprised Caroline with a second, more public proposal. With champagne flutes in guests' hands and a hired quartet playing soft music, he knelt down once again. I want the world to know I'm yours, Cass. Caroline was stunned. Eyes on her, applause beginning, the ring glinting under the skylight. How could she say no without unraveling the entire plan? She forced a trembling yes, and the crowd erupted. But that night she wept quietly in the master bedroom. She had come to test Lucas's love. Now she was part of a lie growing bigger by the day. And worse, she had started falling for Nolan. Back in Oregon, Cassandra read the news on a gossip site. Whitmore heiress re-engaged in surprise public event. She felt her stomach drop. The plan was spiraling out of control. Caroline tried to create distance from Lucas, but he mistook her hesitation for wedding jitters. We'll take it slow, he said. No pressure. I've got the best PR team for this. The more he talked, the more her chest tightened. He never asked what she wanted, only what would look good. Desperate for clarity, she visited Nolan under the guise of helping him organize a charity photo auction. They spent the day discussing his portraits of remote villages and shared their dreams. At the end of the night, Nolan looked into her eyes. Cassandra, or whoever you are right now, you're not the woman I met at last year's gala. And that's a good thing. Caroline's throat dried. She wanted to tell him everything, but how could she, when the truth could ruin multiple lives? Cassandra was adjusting to her borrowed life in Oregon far better than she expected. She cooked, laughed with children, and even taught a basic coding class for teenagers. For the first time, she slept deeply at night, not because of silk sheets or soundproofed walls, but because of inner peace. Brian, persistent as ever, offered her a small hand-drawn portrait the kids had made of Miss Caroline. Cassandra was touched, but carefully drew the line. I'm flattered, but I'm not who you think I am. The words stuck with her all night. Who was she, really? Cassandra Whitmore, the heiress, or the woman who found meaning in little things? And more urgently, was she ready to give up this calm to return to a life of corporate facades? A week before the planned switchback, Cassandra returned to Beverly Hillston unannounced. She walked into her penthouse to find Lucas and Caroline mid-conversation. Her sudden appearance stopped them cold. Two identical women stood before Lucas, his face paled. What the hell is going on? Cassandra stepped forward. You were supposed to love me, not the idea of me. So we tested you. Lucas's voice cracked. You mean, I've been with her this whole time, Caroline added softly, and I've been pretending to be someone I'm not every day. The room buzzed with silence. Lucas stared between them. His lips moved, but no words came out. Cassandra's voice was firm. So Lucas, now that you know the truth, who do you love? But Lucas didn't answer. Instead, he walked out. Lucas's silence was an answer in itself. He walked away, not because he was angry, but because he didn't know who he had fallen for. And in that confusion, both sisters found clarity. Caroline was shaken. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered, tears brimming. Cassandra hugged her. You didn't do anything wrong. I asked you to do this. I was the one testing love with deception. That night, Cassandra finally texted Nolan, asking if they could meet. When he arrived at a quiet cafe, she was already waiting, this time in her real identity. Hair brushed down naturally, no makeup, jeans and a blouse, no pretense. I'm not who you think I am, she began. He smiled gently. Actually, I think you are. You're the version of yourself you're finally comfortable being. There was no kiss, no dramatic profession of love, just understanding and something new beginning. Lucas didn't reach out for days. When he finally did, it was via a polite, impersonal message. I'm sorry I couldn't give either of you an answer. I guess I never really knew what love was supposed to look like. Cassandra didn't reply. She didn't need to. Instead, she turned her focus to her company. This time with fresh eyes, she restructured Wittach's community arm, creating programs for underprivileged schools and tech education centers. Inspired by Caroline's world, she brought compassion into the corporate machine. Caroline, meanwhile, returned to Oregon and found herself welcomed with open arms. Her students had missed her. Her co-workers threw her a surprise welcome-back potluck. She realized she had been enough all along. No designer gowns or penthouses required. The bond between the sisters had grown stronger. What began as a test of love had turned into a rediscovery of identity. At Wittech's annual gala, Cassandra stunned the press not with fashion but with honesty. She stepped up to the podium in a sleek, minimalist navy dress, not the glittering spectacle expected of her, and began, "I made a mistake this year. I thought love could be measured, that a life of wealth meant a life of security, but I learned that truth can't be hidden behind titles or jewels." The crowd fell silent. "I deceived people, including someone I thought I loved, but that deception taught me who I really am, and for that I'm grateful." She didn't name Lucas. She didn't need to. The press would spin it in dozens of ways, but Cassandra's message reached the right ears. One of them was Nolan's, who watched the live stream from a field tent in Kenya, where he was on assignment. He smiled at the screen. "She's finding her voice." Months passed. The pain of the past faded into lessons, and a new chapter began. Cassandra visited Oregon often. She didn't just donate money. She taught coding classes and helped set up scholarships under Caroline's name. Caroline, in turn, spoke at Cassandra's leadership seminars about empathy and ethics. Their once divided lives had now overlapped in beautiful ways. One evening, they sat on the porch of Caroline's modest home, sipping tea. "I used to think I had to be extraordinary to be loved," Cassandra admitted. Caroline grinned. "Turns out being real is more extraordinary than any of that." They laughed, the sound echoing under a starlit sky. No more switching places, no more deception. Just two women, identical in face but now whole in heart. Nolan returned unexpectedly one autumn morning. Cassandra was in Oregon hosting a tech fair at the local school. He walked up behind her as she helped a student fix a faulty robot. "I always knew you were better with machines than people." She turned, startled, and then smiled so wide her eyes crinkled. "I've been practicing both." They didn't need to say much. After the fair, they walked for hours, talking, laughing, falling into rhythm again. This time there was no illusion, no swapped identity, no pretense. When Nolan took her hand, it wasn't tentative, it was certain. And Cassandra, the woman who once ruled boardrooms with armor around her heart, let it all melt away. Back in Oregon, Caroline's life also took an unexpected but meaningful turn. Her school nominated her for a National Teaching Award after a viral video of her helping a student overcome a learning challenge reached millions. Journalists came knocking, intrigued by her story and her resemblance to the Wittech heiress. Instead of shying away, Caroline owned her truth. "Yes, my sister and I are identical twins. But our journeys were meant to be different." When asked if she regretted stepping into Cassandra's shoes, she paused. "I don't regret it. I discovered parts of myself I didn't know existed. And I learned that honesty matters more than glamour." She used her new platform to advocate for educational reform and started a foundation with her sister aimed at supporting rural schools. No longer in the shadows, Caroline was now a voice of compassion and change. Lucas Alcott faded from the headlines. He sold his shares in a luxury lifestyle brand and took an extended leave from the public eye. A year later, he sent a letter, not an email, not a text, to both Cassandra and Caroline. "I've spent time thinking. You two taught me something valuable. I love the idea of a woman who reflected the world I built, but I never took the time to truly know her soul. That was my loss." He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't ask to come back. Instead, he thanked them for revealing the cracks in his mirror. Caroline read the letter and placed it in a drawer. Cassandra tore it into pieces and let the wind carry them off her penthouse balcony. Some chapters don't deserve sequels, and some people belong in the past. Cassandra and Nolan started dating openly. Their relationship wasn't perfect. She still traveled for business and he for photography, but they made it work with honesty and respect. One evening, over a modest dinner in Nolan's apartment, he handed her a small velvet box. Inside wasn't a diamond, but a simple silver ring with an engraving. "No disguises, just you." Cassandra's eyes welled. "It's perfect." Meanwhile, Caroline began mentoring new teachers. She found joy in shaping young minds and comfort in a life where every action felt meaningful. She never pursued a grand romance, but that didn't mean she was alone. Love, she discovered, wasn't always romantic. Sometimes it was in the laughter of children, the support of a sister, or the peace in your own quiet company. A year after the infamous swap, the twins co-hosted a TED-style talk titled "The Value of Being Seen." They recounted their journey, without naming names, and reflected on how stepping into each other's shoes didn't just reveal truths about others, but about themselves. Their message resonated around the world. When we strip away titles, wealth, and appearances, we're left with the question, who are we and who loves us for that person? Audience members cried, applauded, wrote to them afterward, saying, "You helped me leave a toxic relationship," or "I finally told my partner who I really am." It was never about fame. It was about freedom, freedom to be known, to be loved, to be honest. On a rainy evening, the sisters sat together in Cassandra's garden. The air smelled of wet roses and fresh soil. Caroline leaned back in her chair. "Do you ever think about writing a book?" Cassandra smiled. "Only if you help me write it." They laughed, sipping tea, the light from the kitchen window painting soft gold on their faces. They never did tell the world the full truth. Some secrets, after all, are better kept between sisters. But those who knew them, really knew them, could feel the shift, in the way Cassandra hugged longer, in the way Caroline stood taller, two women once unsure of their worth, now entirely themselves. And in that quiet garden the real happily ever after bloomed. Not with diamonds, not with parties, but with truth, healing, and unshakable sisterhood. If you enjoyed this story of love, truth, and transformation, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional journeys and unexpected twists that remind us what really matters.